In this next video clip, we want to show you the recent testimony at a Senate Finance Committee hearing in which Judge William Acker from the Federal District of Alabama Court was present to give his opinions on ERISA and long-term disability insurance claims. And this video clip is really short, but one of the reasons why we're sharing it with you is that we wanted you to see a federal judge's perspective of how ERISA applies to insurance policies. So let's take a look at this video, and when it's over, myself and my partner Stephen Jessup are going to provide a few comments about our thoughts on the video and how it could potentially apply to your long-term disability insurance claim.
Privilege to be able to share with you this morning some of the thoughts of a trial judge who's been grappling with ERISA for 28 years. Appointed in 1982, I sweated over ERISA and watched other courts sweat over it for years until in 1998 I wrote the law review article entitled, "Can the Courts Rescue ERISA?" That's probably what prompted your committee to invite me, and I appreciate it. Although my arguments in 1998 are now dated, my 1998 answer to the question, "Can the courts rescue ERISA?" was no, and since that time I've not changed my mind. The courts have not rescued ERISA. If anything, they've dug the hole deeper. I'm not saying that the courts, including the Supreme Court, have not tried to make sense of ERISA, tried to make it workable, but the situation is worse now than it was in 1998 and getting worse every day.
What was interesting about this video clip, it wasn't a real fascinating clip, but what's interesting from our perspective is that you have a federal judge who's commenting that ERISA is a problem. And since 1998, when he first wrote a law review article and said, "Can the courts rescue ERISA?" he says no. And in his testimony before Congress, he says the problem's getting worse every day. So, we are obviously biased, although we try to be neutral, but now you hear a federal judge saying ERISA is a major problem, and guess what, Congress, we can't fix it as the courts, you need to. But the real issue is like, why did we get to this point now, and what can be done at this point that you have a federal judge saying the courts can't rescue ERISA? And did the courts screw up ERISA? I mean, what happened?
Well, I think one of the things you first notice with Judge Acker is just the sense of frustration in his voice, in that I've been dealing with this since I became a judge in 1982. I wrote an article in 1998 as to whether or not the courts could. No, it's still a resounding no. And one of the interesting things is with this is, as a disability insurance claimant under a group disability policy, someone like Judge Acker is going to be a judge who's going to review your claim. And even he's frustrated with the way that the law is such a big body of law with no real stream of consciousness. When Congress enacted the statute, they didn't really give guidelines to the courts as to how to interpret these new regulations. So depending if you're out in California, you're in Florida, you're in New York, you're in Ohio or Minnesota, each judge is going to have a differing opinion on it. So from each of these different places around the country, all these judges started creating and trying to interpret it as they could understand what Congress gave them. Then if they made a ruling someone didn't like and it was appealed, it went to the circuit courts, and now we have a whole new group of judges trying to make sense one way or another.
The appellate judges.
Correct. So it's just constantly evolving, and the only body that can give a finite answer to these questions that all these judges are having is Congress by statutory amendments or changing the way that the laws work in it. So unfortunately, these judges are also left with a position of banging their heads against the wall, trying to make heads or tails of a lot of this.
Right, because then you see the discrepancy between all the circuits in the different states, and then finally a case gets to the United States Supreme Court, and the United States Supreme Court can make a final word on how to interpret this already convoluted gray law of ERISA. But then every time we see an opinion come out of the United States Supreme Court, we end up with more questions regarding ERISA and really maybe a small finite answer on issue, but new issues develop.
It's almost like in Greek mythology, the Hydra, you cut off its head of the issue and two more pop up. And when it goes to the Supreme Court, what everyone's hoping will be answered when it gets certified to go to the Supreme Court, they never really get around a lot of times to answering that, but they just bring a lot more what ifs and what are the possibilities in it. So there's seemingly no end.
Right. I mean, I hope that Congress will make some changes. We know at the state level there's been some changes made, but you know, the gray is unfortunately more black and white towards being pro-insurance company than it is claimant. However, since you have so many different opinions, even just within one state, you can, I don't want to say manipulate the law or use the law to your advantage to find cases that are good for the claimant, which I think then gives a judge a lot of discretion to find the way that they want to. So, you know, the biggest problem is we have so many different cases, even just within one state, that say different things on the same issue, and I think that's because of this gray factor of ERISA.
For sure.
So, you know, watching the video of Judge Acker and his comments, and you know, we have another video where we watched Senator Baucus and his comments, and we have multiple other videos where we've talked about ERISA. We want people to contact us and let us know if they have any specific questions about their claim or any issues that they feel they want to share about their claim. Let us know. Put a blog on our website, and you know, we do these videos to send a message out to the public to let them know about ERISA and things that they should be aware of if they ever need to file a claim. Thank you for your time and watching this video.